Good morning, everybody. Good morning to our participants and members of the press. Welcome to Let Your Data Work for You, a webinar on financial inclusion towards an era of open finance. Let's begin with a simple fact today. People don't control their own data. Think about it. When you apply for a loan or a job, can you do it without supporting documents? Will the bank or the company you're applying with simply accept your word as valid? Whether it's certificates of employment, pay slips, bank statements, or transcripts of records, consumers are at the mercy of other institutions to provide access and to validate their own data. For loan applications, for example, there's also the question of how accurately these documents paint a picture of your financial viability and credit standing. In comes Smile API, a platform that gathers and verifies data from various and alternate sources for formal, salaried employees, and even the largely underserved unbanked majority in the Philippines. It's not something anyone gives a lot of thought to because, to put it simply, it's the way it's always been. And most believe it's necessarily the way it was always has to be. But what you will learn today is that it never has to be that complicated and that tedious ever again. Through APIs in this era of open finance, customers can more easily gain access and control of their own data. That ownership can benefit you, whether you're the customer, the lending institution, or the employer. How exactly? Well, I'll let the experts tell you, starting with our first speaker, the CEO of Regional API Developer, Smile API, Mr. Jerome Eager. Jerome, hi, good morning.
Hello, Mimi. Good morning. Thank you very much for that kind introduction. I would like to say a few words of thank you to our team first before we begin. It's been absolutely an amazing ride this last year of developing Smile to the point where it is today. So thanks a lot to the team, and this has been just amazing. First of all, I would also like to say hello and thank you very much for everybody joining the call today. Before we dive into this amazing event today, where we will feature a lot of new products, we have some great announcements to make. Before we do all that, I would like to zoom out a little bit and give you guys an overview about the state of data where we are right now. And I think the first question that we all should ask ourselves in this day and age of technology and ever accelerating use of your data and mobile phones, etc., is what about data and who owns it? Now, one of the very important things that have been mentioned is essentially by regulators in general is this kind of data is it has been questioned by a lot of folks who owns the data. Now, regulators specifically have made this very clear, not only in the US, but also in Europe and in large parts of Asia. And we're lucky that this falls in line with common sense, that this data is owned by you. So next slide, please. Or, yeah, okay, I got access. Fantastic. Okay, so that is a very important finding. The importance in this is particularly because data has been named as the one thing that comes closest to what in the 20th century we called oil, right? So I'm sure you all heard this before, that data is the oil of the 21st century, but really the analogy is striking. In the 20th century, you could not get access or mobility and really get access to a lot of services if you did not have access to this very important commodity. Now, in the 21st century, it's quite the same about data. If you have no data, you are essentially excluded from a lot of services that are ensuring livelihood, quality of life, a lot of services that are very important for our daily ins and outs. And so therefore, the news that this data or this oil of the 21st century belongs to you is fantastic. It's really great news, and it's fantastic that the regulators, including the Data Privacy Commission of the Philippines, but also regulators around Europe that have drafted the GDPR years ago, are also in line with this fact. This is fantastic. Now, somewhat a difficult, but also again an analogy with the oil of the 21st century is really the question of, where is your data? This is a very, very important one. So look, the oil is under the earth, but where is your data? You can absolutely surely look at your data when you look at your phone, right? So you go to settings in every app, whether it is in your bank account, in your social security, in your employment accounts, or in basically every app, you can look at the data. But oil is something that you can make use of, right? So how do you get the oil out of the earth? How do you get the data out of your phone and really make it work for you? This is a very important question. And so therefore you have to really dive a little bit deeper, one step deeper into the question, where is your data? Now, there are two answers to that question. We can answer it accurately and very boring. And there's also another way how we hope at Smile we can help you to answer that question. Now, first, the accurate and boring one. We have highly distributed and functionally layered enterprise resource planning systems, human capital management system, human resource management systems, payroll, social, health, apps, wallets, and many, many more. I could go on for a long time. It's basically stored on server systems, in the cloud, in documents, on paper. So in one word, it is very distributed, and it is always one step away from you, and you don't know how to access it. So the other more simple way how we can summarize this is essentially by saying your data is pretty much somewhere on the other side. And this is a little bit of a bummer, but this also answers the question, essentially, why we need Smile or why there is Smile. So this is an important mission for us to basically make sure what is our mission statement and why do we think Smile is in existence. Yeah? And I think a one-sentence answer to that is at Smile, we believe that access to your own data is a basic right. It's fantastic that we don't just have to claim that it is a basic right. It actually is a right. Data is owned by you. So you can utilize it and you can make use of it as an end user. This is fantastic news for us. The problem is you own it, but you don't have really access to it. So there has to be someone who builds that access. And basically, with the picture that I just showed you, which is a bridge, you always have to have two sides of the bridge. Now, let me spend a little bit of time to, again, zoom out and say, what are the two sides of the bridge? Because these are essentially use cases that I would like to dive deeper into a tiny little bit. I promise it's not going to be boring and it just takes a few seconds. The most important use case that we have identified today in the Philippines is essentially that there is a huge discrepancy between workers and the access to credit. 3 out of 4 Filipinos do not get access to credit or to financial services at all. And this, the financial services or access to financial services, is really what is the grease in the for the economy, which really helps to accelerate economic growth. So that connection, that bridge to build this is an extremely integral part. Now, what we can observe, if this is not the case, if there is no access to credit, which basically is a decision that goes both sides. I also want to stand on the side of the financial institutions here that understand we would like to give credit to all of these people, but we don't have enough data. So what you do if you don't have data and you want to make credit, as everyone knows, your risk goes up and your risk is represented in your price, which is the amount of the interest rate that you have to charge to compensate for that risk. So in one word, or in one sentence, what it means, more data means more information, means less risk, means lower interest rates, means higher value for workers and the society at all, as a total. Now, how do we do this? You might ask. So this is really where we put in 99% of our work to build that bridge. So workers' information needs to be made accessible to the workers first, and then they carry that information through Smile over the Smile bridge to financial institutions to get loans. So how does that work? So Smile is building an infrastructure. And this infrastructure is essentially a network of APIs. Oh, what is an API? There are technical terms. Okay, let me explain to you what an API is in the most simple word. A human is communicating with their phone through a screen. We call this GUI, or graphical user interface. So man, machine is GUI. If two machines talk to each other, that's an API. So Smile connects with an API to all of the employment, payroll, social security, a lot of valuable infrastructure that carries your individual data. Now, what is very important for us to understand as an end user, as a worker, when we say we empower the worker, it's always the worker that has to go over that bridge. Basically, what that means is we need to have the empowerment is basically happening on the Smile interface. So every user using Smile gives the consent and creates the access through Smile. It is not that Smile gets access to any of this data. Smile is an infrastructure and not a database. We don't have any data. We don't save any data. We carry this information basically in the hands of the worker to this use case. Now, use cases, there are a lot of use cases. Pretty much what we are listing here are financial institutions. It could be lenders, buy now, pay later, for e-commerce, for other applications, earned wage access, and banks. Mostly what we observe is very innovative services that are trying to build better services for their customers and contribute to the well-being of society by using Smile. The data works in real time, and it is just an absolute delight for us to see what our customers are building on that basis. Now, as I promised, I don't want to go too deep into specific use cases. I will leave that to Jean and the rest of the team. For now, I would like to show you a very quick mission statement, what we actually would like to achieve. Smile is connecting the Philippines to employment data. And how do we do this? We have a very short clip for you guys. And after that, I would like to hand it back to Mimi. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much, Jerome, for that. A lot of companies in the growing fintech industry clearly very excited about Smile API and the potential benefits Smile can have for their businesses. It's really no surprise you're attracting a lot of investor attention. Now, Smile's latest investor is actually San Francisco-based Afore Capital. Let's listen to this recorded message from Afore Capital's managing partner, Anamita Banerjee.
Hi, I'm the managing director of Afore Capital. We are a $300 million fund based out of San Francisco, and we invest mostly in US companies, but increasingly in companies overseas. But I didn't start as a venture capitalist. My role originally started at Twitter, where I was the first product manager. And I got to work with a foundational product that gave voice to a lot of people in this world. As it happens, Twitter is still in the news today. What I learned at Twitter is how exciting it was to help founders bring their product ideas to the market for the very first time, help them navigate through the market, and help them invent the product. Since that time, I've always looked to invest in other founders. And that's the reason I started A4 Capital with a good friend of mine. Today, as I said, we manage around $300 million to invest exclusively in companies that are just getting started. My hope is to invest in as many Twitters as I can find. We invest in a stage specifically called pre-seed stage. And that stage is when companies are just getting off the ground, very similar to where Smile API is today. And very similar to where Twitter was back in 2006 and a whole host of other companies we have invested in the last 6 years. These companies typically have exciting founding teams that are very mission driven. They see the future in a way that very few people do or believe. And we back them up with a lot of capital early on and believe in their vision and help them as much as we can to bring their product ideas to the market, help them acquire customers, and ultimately help them capitalize the company in a massive way. In 6 years of having run A4 Capital, we've invested in about 80 companies that looked very similar to what Smile API does today. All of these companies were ideas just getting off the ground, and today many of them are extremely large. In fact, the 80 companies today are valued at around $11.5 billion in the private market. They have raised about $1.8 billion after A4 Capital. It's usually hard to imagine, but whenever A4 Capital invests, about 25x follows these companies in our portfolio. We're particularly excited about Smile API because of the opportunity that Smile API offers to a lot of Filipinos and mostly to folks all across Southeast Asia. Financial inclusion is the first step in being fully open to all the possibilities that life has to offer. You first have to have financial security. You must be able to take risk, and you can't take risk if no one is ever willing to lend you. And one of the challenges we see in the local markets, such as Southeast Asia, is that data is often required before a lender makes these decisions, these credit decisions. And Smile API really enables and empowers a lot of developers of fintech, insurance tech, and a whole host of other services that are oriented towards financial inclusion by providing them data, employment history in a format like an API that becomes very, very easy for fintechs to build around and ultimately offer lending and credit products that they couldn't do otherwise. And that's an enabling technology that's delivered by Smile API. We're particularly excited about Smile because of the team that we've seen, that the progress that they've made in very short time with very limited resources. Once again, congratulations to Smile on their wonderful day, and hope the next several years goes really, really well, and we're able to build another unicorn in Southeast Asia. We're really looking forward to working with them. Bye for now.
All right, we've just heard from A4 Capital, the latest investor to get on board Smile API. As he did mention, A4 Capital is a $300 million venture fund focused on pre-seed investments. Aren't the only good news we're getting from Smile API today. Another significant recent development is a partner with a new use case. Now, Smile's functionality is already well established for fintech, such as online lending platforms and the BNPL services, or the buy now, pay later. But Tavana PH, one of Smile's newest partners, is actually a B2B logistics provider, one that needs to expand its fleet very quickly. And here to tell us about what they're looking forward to in this partnership with Smile is Ana Quizon, Chief Operating Officer of Tavana PH. Hi, Ana, go ahead. All right, Ana, you have to open your audio. All right.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I would like to say thank you for having us. Ana Day Allen Inc. Started last June 2019. We are a livelihood technology solution, and as well as implementation services. The company is engaged at an e-commerce platform, fulfillment center, and delivery system. So our operations is mainly concentrated in NCR and Luzon. But through our business partners, we were able to cater also for Visayas and Mindanao. So our team were composed of different people from different industries. We have Aaron as our CEO, and I as your COO, and Alejandro as your CFO, and Darwin as our Chief Legal Officer. So our platforms, we have Tarana PH for our logistic services, Tupad PH for our fulfillment services, and Bayani PH as our e-commerce platform. So for Tarana PH, we have a very high demand for onboarding riders and delivery partners. Next slide, please, for the video. So here are our partners and clients. And we have Smile with us. Can I have the next slide? So yeah, we have a very high demand on onboarding delivery partners right now for Tarana. And we only manage to onboard 200 riders on a daily basis. So it would took us a week to verify and process all the application forms. But with prior to Smile, we have encountered difficulties in having to manually process applications to meet our demands. We have high failure rate during training, also bogs down on the process. Smile API help us streamline our riders onboarding. What used to take weeks, we can now do with 20,000 applicants in a matter of seconds with Smile Employment History API. So with Smile, we are now smiling. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Certainly, the numbers have improved from 200 applications per day. You can actually do 20,000 in a matter of seconds. A reason to smile, definitely. Thank you very much for that, Anna. It's very interesting, that there are so many applications for this app that Smile has developed and how many more lives are made better because of it. Now, through Smile API, companies will now be able to quickly meet their employment quotas with qualified applicants to better serve their clients and for rapid expansion. But Smile actually started out as a service with a focus on fintechs and has continued to grow in that space. So now we're going to hear from Smile's newest partner in fintech, Plentina, which is represented today by product manager Ashley Oy. Go ahead, Ashley.
Thanks, Mimi, for the warm introduction as well. Let me wait for my slide to pop up.
All right.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, hello everybody. Thanks for being here, and congratulations again to Smile API. So Plentina is a flexible payment, offers flexible payments for emerging markets. So next slide, please. As a one-liner, Plentina is a buy now, pay later for large-scale merchants to give their customers cashless credit. So how it works, and you can see it in the next slide as well, is that basically customers are able to get their store credit loans via their phone. And then when they choose a store credit, they can then choose the list of payment terms that they want to select. So that's either 14-day, 30-day, 60-day payment terms. And once they've fulfilled the complete loan application process, they can now use the store credit that they paid via the terms that they selected previously and already start either using it online if the partner is online or over the counter if the partner is an offline partner. And as the person makes transactions through Plentina, and and exhibits good payment behavior, each time they repay, we actually report to the National Credit Bureau their behavior, so that their profile not only grows within Plantina, but also across the entire country, because we submit to the CIC, the National Credit Bureau. So next slide, please. Our founders have a breadth of experience, both in business and in data. So Kevin used to work for Google and NASA and earning a PhD in the data science field, whereas Earl was actually a change maker in the local startup scene here in the Philippines, where he operated as a VP of innovation in Smart, and then moved on to financial institutions in the States, such as Charles Schwab. So they bring their experience, and that's kind of how Plantina grew to how it is today. Yeah, next slide, please. So yeah, hi, I'm Ashley. I'm currently in Bohol, Philippines. I'm the product manager of Plantina, and I'm happy to be able to introduce not only Plantina, but also the potential that partnering with Smile gives us. Next slide, please. So yeah, so about 15% of our current customer base can be served by Smile's platform, and as we develop both our technology and theirs, we can see a chance of that percentage growing higher and higher over time. And the reason for that growth would be that the Smile API allows us to unlock about more than 90% of the Philippines labor force based on their scope and coverage. So that's really getting us excited. And we project at about 12% approval rates whenever somebody applies for an offer, or in this case, as I explained earlier, a loan. And if that loan requires like some kind of additional approval, sometimes we reject those that we can't verify. So with Smile, we project at around 12% increase of approval rates if with the partnership moving forward. Next slide, please. So yeah, just to highlight, there's a strong synergy of what Smile believes in and what Plantina believes in. We really also want to be able to serve the underserved, and to be able to unlock people's potential. That's like our company tagline. So we really aim to be able to unlock your potential and getting access to financial services. And so that's that strong alignment with Smile is also what's making us smile with our partnership with them. So not only that, it's also because we're aware that not a lot of the Philippine market is, let's say, included in the formal financial system. So we would want to be able to provide access to those people who are in the margins, and be able to give them alternate ways to earn a credit boost. So yeah, so because we're submitting to the CIC, all the behaviors of this customer that exist within our platform is reported to the National Credit Bureau, and we aim to in the future be able to also submit that information and make it available for banks, so that when customers approach to more formal financial institutions, they can use that type of reputation that they've built through Plantina to be able to get those types of services in the long run. So yeah, thank you for having me again, and congratulations, Smile.
And thank you for that, Ashley. We're going to learn more about the partnership later on. But for now, here to tell us more about the latest updates at Smile API and how those will impact the overall user experience and share Smile's continuing progression towards true democratization of data, we have with us Jan Pabellion, Chief Product Officer of Smile API. Jan, hi.
Thank you, Mimi, for that introduction. So again, my name is Jan. I head up product at Smile API. And to provide more context, because Jerome already gave a fantastic introduction to what Smile does, but to provide more context on why we built the product and who we built the product for, let me kind of share a little bit like this person whose name is George. All right, so George represents many Filipinos today, right? So George is, he's been working for a very long time. He works as a security guard. He's been working for more than 20 years. But unfortunately, during the pandemic, he was furloughed, like many other of our fellow kababayans. Because of that, he was forced to engage in some what we call gig work or freelance work. So as delivering food and delivering parcels. just to make ends meet, right? So although he earned quite a lot as a delivery driver, sometimes it's still not enough, right? Sometimes, like his children got sick, and or in some cases, like they need more income, so his wife asked him for capital to start selling goods via sari sari store. And to do that, George tried to apply for a loan. Now, because he didn't have employment at the time, and because he didn't really receive a payslip from his work as a delivery driver, although he was earning quite a substantial amount, he was denied that credit, and because of that, potentially denied additional opportunity to earn. So unfortunately, so George is not alone in this. So there are more than 14 million Filipinos like George who still do not have access to formal credit. So that's somewhere around like 3 out of 10 adults in the Philippines. And when asked, like, why do you not have access? 5 out of 10 of them said, because they simply don't have the requirements, as simple as like the documentary requirements, like a payslip or a certificate of employment, or something, or sometimes even an ID. It's just too hard for them to apply for this credit. And about the same number, therefore, have to resort to other means. So sometimes to borrow money from informal channels like friends and family, but sometimes also resort to borrowing from predatory lenders. So this is the reality today. Now, on the other side of the fence are people like Mike. So Mike works for a company that is starting to spring up more and more here in the Philippines, like an online lending platform. So Mike, what he does day in, day out is really just look at the applications for loans from people like George and kind of determine, okay, which of them are actually credit worthy. But when we ask people like Mike and the companies he works for, the lenders, they always say the same thing. It's too hard and it takes too long to approve someone's loan application. There's really just a lack of reliable data about these people here in the Philippines. It's hard for them to tell which of these applicants are good borrowers. All right. So to provide more context, although there are many lenders now trying to bridge that credit gap in the Philippines, there's still too much friction. You have to fill up tons of forms. You have to submit tons of documents, and you have to get them from various sources. And it's just too much friction and just takes too much time. And then for the lenders, they have to hire an army of people just to manually review this. And sometimes it can be error prone. Although there are existing sources of data, like the credit bureaus and things like that, sometimes it simply does not cover everyone, right? So they rely on people who have a banking relationship. So there's only 7 out of 10 of our fellow kababayans still do not have a formal bank account. Sometimes the data is quite stale. It's about 6 to 18 months old. There are alternatives that exist for getting some of these data, like identity and biometric information, but that doesn't really tell them whether this person has the capacity to repay a loan and has the character to actually follow through on their commitments. So that's why we built Smile, really as a bridge between the borrowers on the one end and the lenders. But not just that, because of the nature of the data we provide, we are trying to help the lenders identify who the great borrowers are. People who have the capacity based on their employment and income history, and also the character. If they were, tenured and a good employee, it's an indicator of good character and likely to come through on their commitments. So we want to bridge them with the great lenders, people who are open to using the latest technology, who recognize the value of data for providing these types of innovative services to bridge the credit gap. So last time we made an announcement, we had covered the gig workers, but we're happy to announce today that we're now covering more than 40 million Filipinos, specifically those who are working. So many of them, 25 million, are wage and salary workers working in the private sector. About 4.1 million are working for government, and about 11.7 million are self-employed. Some are entrepreneurs, but many are like George, who are just making ends meet through many of these innovative gig platforms. Delivering food or selling online, or serving employers abroad through very innovative gig employment platforms. So these are the people we now cover. So to illustrate how that works, so it's very simple. So Smile provides a mechanism for someone like George to share the employment data by just logging into their employment platform or any system which has their employment data. So it's as simple as logging in, and then and then going through some security check and making sure that the consent is acquired, and then that's it. Very quickly, we send that data to the lender so that the lender can review it, gets the sense of the identity of this person, their employment history, and also gets a sense of their income, like based on their transaction history, like how many deliveries they've done, how much they've earned, and the worker can verify his data, and based on certain rules, automatically approve that loan in seconds, right? Not days, but in seconds. So that's the power of our platform, of our infrastructure. It's data acquired with the user's consent from the source to make sure it's recent and verified and comprehensive. So that's what we do at Smile. We're bringing opportunities to more Filipinos. We're unlocking financial opportunities for over 40 million of them. So this is the major milestone we have reached at Smile. So to illustrate this is how we are doing this. So that's Smile. But before I leave, there's one more thing that we'd like to announce. So again, Smile we're a data company, we're an infrastructure company. But some of the data that we want to get and we want to share with our partners, sometimes it's the only way we can get them is to really ask some of our users, some of the workers we want to serve. So like if you want to get information about how well they are working, if they're being compensated, how they feel about their employer. So what we want to do is today we're announcing a survey, a comprehensive nationwide survey to get this information and to maybe incentivize people to answer our survey. We've partnered with Tahanang Walang Hagdanan. This is an organization where we feel that there is an intersection of our mission, right? So like them, we are very much focused on serving the marginalized. In their case, they are focused on helping persons with disabilities get access to better opportunities. So what we want to do is we want to launch this survey. We're going to launch a social media campaign to get people to answer. This survey is available at our website at getsmileapi.com/employee-surveys. getsmileapi.com/employee-survey. And for every response, we will be donating 50 pesos for every successful response to our survey. So the survey will run for 3 months starting today, and we encourage everyone to share more information about how they're working and if they're making ends meet today. Now, to share more information about this, very this organization that's helping a lot of our brothers in the PWD community. I'd like to introduce Mr. Ramon Apilado. He's currently the administrative manager of Tahanang Walang Hagdanan, who he himself is a person with disability. He actually noticed the symptoms of limb girdle muscular dystrophy when he was 15 years old. But that didn't stop him from achieving a degree from the Dr. Nicanor Reyes Memorial Colleges in Paniki, Tarlac, where he graduated from with a degree in liberal arts with a major in English. So now he's an advocate for helping people with disabilities, and he lectures on sensitivity training and getting these people more opportunities. So without further ado, let me turn over the stage to Sir Ramon.
Hello, thank you very much, John, for that kind introduction. So to give you a background of about our organization, Tahanang Walang Hagdanan. Tahanang Walang Hagdanan was founded by a Belgian missionary nun named Sister Valeriana Bergs. Maybe we could change this slide right now. All right, so we are a non-stop nonprofit organization, and we were founded by a Belgian missionary nun in 1973. And the reason for this one is to provide programs and services to persons with disabilities. Next slide, please. Tahanang Walang Hagdanan hopes to achieve a gainful and productive life for persons with disabilities, which will enable everyone, most especially persons with disabilities, to have dignity and self-respect, and to discover our God-given talents and our full potential. Next slide, please. Our mission is to strengthen the social enterprise through viable economic activities without compromising the core trust of empowering persons with disabilities and care for the environment. So we always consider the persons with disabilities and also the care for the environment, because this is where we live in, so we have to take care of it. Next slide, please. And the vision of the organization is to have a sustainable and economically viable social enterprise, providing continuous holistic development to persons with disabilities, and an organization that adheres to the protection and rehabilitation of the environment. So here in Tahanang Walang Hagdanan, we always envision the holistic development of every person with disability, not only the physical, but also the mental and at the same time social life of persons with disabilities, and of course, the care for the environment. Next slide, please. We have different workshops here in the organization. So we have the Metacraft Department, where we will manufacture different kinds of customized wheelchairs. And most of our workers in here are also persons with disabilities, because most of us are the ones who know what kind of wheelchair do we need. Next slide, please. We also have a Woodcraft Department, one of our workshops here. And what we manufacture in this department are mostly educational toys. And we have orders from different companies, and sometimes we do have orders from DepEd and other private schools. We also manufacture school chairs depending on the order of the client, and also furnitures or customized cabinets for companies or private individuals. Next slide, please. We also have medicine packaging. In the medicine packaging or tertiary packaging, what we do in here is that we repack medicines and from a pharmaceutical company. And once we're done with the repacking of these medicines, we return it to the pharmaceutical company to have it sold in the drugstores. And sometimes the medicines that we repack are either for sale in the drugstores or physician samples. We also have the Metacraft Department or the sewing department, wherein we sew different kinds of bags. And our bestseller bags are the eco bags. And we have also partners in here wherein they order at least 5,000 to 10,000 eco bags for this one. Next slide, please. We have our frontline programs and services. We have rehabilitation, physical, social, and emotional. And we also have education programs that includes the sponsorship or scholarship. We have the mobility aid assistance program, wherein we partner with some agencies and private agencies like Asian Development Bank and other partner agencies of the organization. Next slide, please. We also have livelihood projects in the organization. One of our livelihood projects in here is the urban farming, wherein we plant different kinds of vegetables and then we sell it in the community and outside the organization for additional income. We also have the sports and recreation development program because one of our vision is the holistic development of persons with disabilities. So we do not only work, we also have recreation. And one of those recreation is sports. We also offer temporary shelters for persons with disabilities who apply here in the organization. And then once they are established or they have earned money, then they could go outside, their option to go outside and live and rent a house, for example, or an apartment. We also have referrals from cleft palate and cleft lip patients and the visually impaired or the blind and the hard of hearing or hearing impaired. We also have referrals for medical and financial assistance to LGUs, provincial and regional offices of the SWD, DOH, malasakit centers, and other private agencies. We also have transfer of shelter institution referrals. Next slide, please. As Sister Valeriana said, our founder, it's not about what you have lost, but what is left that matters. So here in Tahanan Walang Hagdanan, we may be persons with disabilities, but we can do jobs that other people can't do. And you just have to give us the opportunity and we can do the job well. The next slide, please. So our office address is located at 175 Ida Street, Marik Subdivision. And we also have our contact numbers just in case you wanted to donate or you wanted to have wheelchairs made or even your bags and other furnitures made here in Tahanan Walang Hagdanan. And we are very thankful for Smile API for choosing our organization Tahanan Walang Hagdanan to be one of their partners. And we are very happy because for every completed survey, 50 pesos will be given or donated to the organization that will also service our different programs here in Tahanan Walang Hagdanan. And thank you very much, Smile API, for this opportunity. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ramon, and of course, Jan. Now I think the panel is ready to entertain questions from the media. Let's all welcome back on screen all of our speakers. We have Jerome Eager, CEO of Smile API. Please join us back. John Pabellion, Chief Product Officer of Smile API. Ana Quizon, Chief Operating Officer of Tarana PH. Ashley Oy, Product Manager of Plentina. And Ramon Apilado, Administrative Manager of Tahanan Walang Hagdanan. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Okay, so we're going to be entertaining as many questions as we can from the participants and members of the press. But I guess I want to throw in the first question for this first round. I want to throw the first question to Jerome. Jerome, what is it exactly that Smile API does for the Filipino people? I mean, could you walk us through very briefly the business model and the user experience? Who is your client? Is your client the individual who gives you the permission to gather his data, or the bank who's going to process his loan, or the company who's reviewing his application?
Okay, Mimi, thank you so much. A lot of questions, all of them are very good. So I try to filter through them one by one. So first of all, what does Smile do for the Filipino people? This is it's a very good question, but it's also an abstract one, right? We're an API infrastructure tech company. I would say 99% of people will not understand, and probably don't have to understand really how Smile works. But at the end of the day, I think a good analogy for what we do is we are building roads, we are building bridges. What is infrastructure, right? And what is the value of a road? You can go from one village to the other much faster than by walking just over a path. So we increase the speed of important goods in our modern world to go from one place to another, right? So if you want to sell your goods and you are, for instance, you work in village number 1, you want to sell it to the people in village number 2, because you already sold to village number 1, you need that road, right? And if you want to purchase and go to another market, you also need that road. So what we are building in that 21st century day and age, where data really is an important factor, is we are building the roads for the data. Important again, and I would like to stress it because a lot of people don't understand that we are not a database, we are not a pool, and we're not in the business of saving data. No, data is generated in the second when an applicant comes to us, and the data just travels through Smile like a road, like a bridge. So this is the value that we provide. Now, without Smile, we saw this already in this fantastic video from Annalyn. People are queuing up in front of HR departments to get papers to prove that they have been working at company A, B, or C. Now, with Smile, you don't need this anymore. You get the access of that employment information directly from the source, which can be payroll, which can be any app, basically. It can be your social security, it can be any. Data is ubiquitous right now. So as long as there is employment data available, and there is, we can make this data available and therefore provide value. So if you ask me precisely what the value is, we save you a lot of time. And as we all know, time is money for everyone. Really, if you spare 1 day of time that you can use to work, for your income, for your family, to make ends meet, or even if you're a white collar worker or beyond, your time is valuable. And I hate to remind people, but if you count your average age, and I do this for myself, some people might find this spooky, but I probably have something like 14,000 days left. I want to make every day count. And I would like to help people, and our team at Smile would like to help people to really save themselves some time, not just because it's money, but it's also, it's just such a hassle to chase after documents. And if you can get this integrated in wonderful services like Tarana or Plantina, this is just a lot of value that we can add here. And I think that hopefully that also answers the question of how our business model works. Yeah, so our customers are obviously not the end user, so we're not charging our end users free of charge for any end user. And by the way, they're also not our users, right? They are the users of our customers, for example, Plantina or Tarana, and many more. The importance is the value for businesses that is generated there as well, right? So these guys have the best intentions. They would like to provide a wonderful product. But how do you provide a wonderful product? Let's say, I don't know, like your rice, your fish, or any of your goods, if you want to bring this to the other village and there's no road, right? A product is also, defined by its freshness, by its price, by the speed to the customer. And Smile helps our customers to provide this. The end users are the ones that are profiting from that. Our customers are the ones that are profiting from that. And as a is a sum game. Hopefully, all of society can profit from that.
Thank you very much for that, Jerome. I want to go to Jan now. How extensive is Smile API's footprint in the Philippines since you launched in 2021? This isn't your first market, right?
Yes. So so we've expanded our footprint dramatically since our last event, Mimi. So we now cover virtually everyone who is employed in the Philippines. So like I mentioned, we now cover more than 40 million Filipinos, whether they're self-employed, a gig worker, or whether they're a salaried worker working for the private sector or the government. And our vision is really to cover not just people in the Philippines, but eventually all of Asia as well. But we feel that there's a big opportunity here in the Philippines to help a lot of people.
Jan, you earlier introduced us to a security guard, George. How is the experience there? For example, George was applying for a loan, but he couldn't get it because he had no record readily available. What if the security guard, George, what if his employer is not digitally connected? How do you expect him to upload his employment files or employment data to the system? How does that work? Because this is going to require that employers are actually digitally connected already.
That's a great question, Mimi. So there's multiple ways we can get that data for his, if he is applying for a loan from a lender, or he's applying for a job and they need his employment history. So there's a lot of ways we can do that. So if they are digitally enabled, so the best way is if we can get them from their HR or payroll platform. But if not, there are other ways. Like so many of our, we are required to submit information, to contribute to the social security systems here in the Philippines. So that's one potential source of information that we can share about George. There's also lots of other secondary sources. So if he has, if he has some sort of document like a payslip, that's something that Smile also enables. We can also ingest information in the form of paper-based documents and automatically digitize that and provide that to our partners. So
and just to clarify, Jan, for an individual to be able to avail of the services and the benefits of Smile API, does my prospective employer need to be your partner or client so they can access? Or yes, I can be the one to approach you and say, if my employer's not within your network, can I have my data and pass it on to my prospective employer?
Yeah, so there's many ways. So ideally, if the employer, ideally they could partner with us and we could provide that information in real time. But there's also like these other companies we started talking to are like intermediaries. So they would provide that digital capability and then offer that to those employers, or let's say other lending companies who maybe not digitally savvy. So they would help bridge that, if you will, for them.
I want to go now to Taranas Anna and Plantina's Ashley. What does access to all this multiple verified data do to your operations? How will it make your company better at what it does? Let's start with Anna and then we go to Ashley.
Well, yeah, being a technology company, we constantly look for ways to innovate and process to maximize our businesses. Well, signing up with Smile API not only eases our operations, but also helps in exposure of our partners to technology.
All right, Ashley?
Really similar to Anna, like the benefits, as you said, is operationally. So for example, when somebody wants to say that, hey, I can provide Plantina this information, and that like kind of justifies why I'm demanding for a higher limit, for example. So like, and in this case, it's like, say, credit limit. For us, it's really like each user in Plantina has a specific credit limit. And so there are ways for that user to grow that credit limit other than, say, good repayment behavior. That's really the main thing. Like you can show that you can repay the loans that you have taken. And there's this other way where the customer wants to show more of their information, say income information in this case, and then say that, hey, like my income is this amount, like because I have this document, like I can kind of give you some assurance that I will be able to repay even if my loans are XYZ amount. So having having Smile part of that process, it helps us actually do that processing. We have other ways to do it as well, but having Smile baked into that process will also help us, similar to Anna's situation, expedite some operations in our end. Hopefully that gives a point. Yeah, go ahead.
Jerome, you guys are very big in the fintech space, but given the nature of Tarana PH, it's a B2B logistics services firm, do you foresee any new challenges that you have not had with your other clients that you will now need to address?
First of all, we're not a very big company. We're growing very fast, but we are still relatively small. We'd like to stay humble, at least, in these coming years. We like to make all of our customers smile. So this is also very important. And I think one of the things are focus, which is why we put a major focus at this point on the fintech industry. What we can do for Tarana is it was just such an outstanding value that you can provide without a lot of change in our API, because they're technically capable of reading all our data the way that it is. So we don't have to build a lot of features around this. So it is basically a product, buy it off the shelf. You can use it, and it's pretty much, I have to say, similar to what is used in the financial services industry. So what you require to have somebody in, for instance, in the HR space, specifically, they are interested in experience for riders, is very similar to what is required to issue a loan. You would like to, first of all, get your basic details. So the rider enables through Smile, Annalyn and her team to basically see, okay, this is my personal information, this is my experience, how many orders have I delivered, from which platform, for how long. So all of this information is available for her, and is incredibly valuable. I mean, you have seen the picture of the people that are queuing up in the hall, and they bring their paperwork with them and showing, oh, look, I've been working here, and it's not necessarily been a rider with experience in the past. So if you have thousands of riders that are applying as a rider, you might want to start with those that have the relevant experience. I mean, they are a startup as well, and they have a lot on their, on their schedule to do, Tarana. So we just saw the amazing value that we can provide in this space, although it's not a fintech use case. We're very thankful, Annalyn, for you today to join us, and it's great. We wanted to have Tarana on this on this event today to also showcase that we can do something outside of the fintech space, although really our focus is there, because in fintech we see this is just such an amazingly huge problem, right? So this is you always want to start with the big problems first, and then really dive deep into what we can do. And so also big thanks to Ashley. She's been an amazing resource for us also to give feedback, to help us to improve. And I think it also shows why Smile is called Smile. We're trying really, really hard to make our customers smile. It's very simple why it's the name of the company. So we engage with Ashley almost every day, but definitely several times a week, to see what we can do to really make the product suitable for her. And that also goes to all of our customers, to really see how we can make Smile really help you to solve that problem. Now, in the credit industry, usually what that means is the problem for everyone in the credit industry who's listening pretty much knows this. We have a small segment of suitable borrowers that we would like to borrow to because they are low risk. We already know that. But the Philippines is a big country, right? There's a lot of people that want to have credit, but for us, we don't really know, should we give them or should we not give them? There's a huge risk. Imagine somebody is not repaying your loan. That is the cost that the lending company has to shoulder. So they have to make educated and good decisions, and we're helping them to give power to this lending company to really make good decisions, to make confident decisions, to borrow to new segments that they have probably not fully been able to borrow to before, and do this at a lower price. This is also where the value for everyone comes in. When there is more information about someone, you can more confidently issue loans, and this is a benefit for everyone, I dare to say.
All right, thank you for that, Jerome. From empowering businesses who are your partners to empowering beneficiaries of your advocacies, Jan, you guys chose a very specific advocacy for your CSR efforts when you partnered with Tahanang Walang Hagdanan. Why did you choose Tahanang Walang Hagdanan to begin with? And you said it's going to be 50 pesos donation for every survey answered. How many surveys are you planning to circulate?
A lot, Mimi. So hopefully this gets the word out. So so yeah, and we fully support Tahanang Walang Hagdanan's mission, and we hope to be able to give a lot. So when we look for a partner organization for our CSR efforts, what Tahanang Walang Hagdanan does really resonated with us, right? They provide employment opportunities, right, to a sector that's has been largely marginalized. And what they do is they provide employment. And when you give someone employment, I mean, you give them dignity, you give them confidence, you give them hope for the future, you give them access to more opportunities. And that's essentially what we're doing. And so we found that, again, that there's an intersection between our respective missions. And that's why we hope to partner with Tahanang Walang Hagdanan for a long time. We want to support them and hope to really help their stakeholders and constituents.
Right. Ramon, just very quickly, is there any specific program that this donation will fund?
All right. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
All right, Mimi. Well, that's a very good question. A while ago, Jan mentioned that 50 pesos for every completed survey will be donated to Tahanang Walang Hagdanan. And we are looking forward to more completed surveys because it will definitely help the programs of the organization. And one of these services is the scholarship programs, because we also partner with different organizations and agencies. And it's a good thing that Smile API chose Tahanang Walang Hagdanan as part of the CSR and a partner as well. And this will serve the scholarship program of the organization. And also, it will also support the mobility aid program that we have here in Tahanang Walang Hagdanan, because there are persons with disabilities who really can't afford wheelchairs. And with this 50 pesos donation for every completed survey, it will serve that those persons with disabilities who do not have the means to purchase a wheelchair. So there are other programs, but we are focused on this at the moment. So maybe over time, as we go on with the partnership with Smile API, more services and programs will be funded by this one. So we thank you very much, Smile API, for this opportunity.
Okay, the Tahanang Walang Hagdanan group are smiling. It's smiling because of this. I think we're ready to take questions from members or participants and members of the press. So we'd like to encourage everyone to please send in your questions, and we're going to try to answer as many as we can. Just simply type your questions in the Q&A box. So we're ready to take the first question from Tyrone Piad of Philippine Daily Inquirer. The question, I think, is for Jerome. How much credit has been facilitated by Smile API so far in the Philippines? How much are you aiming to facilitate this year, to help facilitate this year?
Okay, thanks for that question. It's a great question. I'm afraid I cannot answer it because I don't know. and this is also, I think, a very good answer to really make clear. First of all, this is not our business, right? We are not issuing credit. We provide information for credit issuers. So if we knew how much it was, there would be something wrong in our business model. So we don't have this information. What we can basically say is how many people have used Smile, or that basically have gone through Smile, and then you basically have to multiply that by the amount of loans that have been taken. So I can say several tens of thousands have been made so far, exponential growth. And our target for the end of the year is really to help 2 million Filipinos to make these calls and to get better access to credit through the Smile infrastructure.
Jerome, maybe I rephrase that question. The success rate, for example, because with your help, these guys who want to take out loans are able to access information that they need to take out those loans. How are you able to improve success rates for these applications? For example, we heard from earlier from Ashley, they're looking at a 12% boost in approval rates with your help. How about you? Do you have like a target or a standard there?
Yeah, obviously the success rate is a very important factor, not just for us, but also for our customers. So this is a technology question, really. So to build up this infrastructure, and without going into too much technical details, it is important to maintain, and I would like to stay with the metaphor of the road or the bridge. If there's a lot of people that are driving over this bridge, you have to repair it on constantly, really. So things break. APIs, so these interfaces that I mentioned earlier, they are not necessarily built by both sides in mind to always be up to date, and so these things need to be repaired and developed on a constant basis. So these things need maintenance, and this is what Smile does. And this is definitely what pushes the availability of the service forward, and also the coverage. This is something that Jan already mentioned, that we already cover 90% of the working Filipinos. That means we're covering them, but there's also another challenge. There's so much data, really so many data points that are constantly required by our customers to go into more details. I want to give you just one example. For instance, there has been a customer that would like to get more information about the ratings from certain platforms. So for instance, if you're a YouTuber, right? If a customer would like to know, there are a lot of people that are on YouTube or on similar platforms, TikTok, etc., that are making ends meet, or in some cases really making good money on these platforms. But it really depends on how much views do you have, how much advertisement income comes in, or if you are a seller on e-commerce, how many items have you sold? So there's really an infinite number, almost individually by platforms, that needs to be gathered, that needs to be made accessible, because only then it provides value for the borrower and for the lender. So the challenge for us is, how do we funnel this information? How do we make it readable and interpretable for our customers across a range of these very different platforms? So how do we compare a rating as a driver, as an e-commerce seller, the amount of items sold, or perhaps as an average worker, the months that have been, that you have been working at a store, right? So how do you make this work? And this is an amazing challenge, and definitely something that we keep on working. And the more we get this job done, the higher the approval ratings for loans are also going to be.
You know, Jerome, I can imagine with the power of Smile API, essentially you're making that era of having to make multiple phone calls and the age-old paper chase, for applications, a thing of the past, because you can gather, verify across multiple data sources with speed, convenience, and accuracy. Going back to KPIs, how much lower is the cost for gathering these data points because of your technology versus going the traditional way? Is there an estimate?
This is such an interesting question, and so there are two factors that influence this. The first one is really, what is your cost as an individual to get access to that information? And in some cases, imagine if you spent the whole day in traffic and you, just because of getting this information, you crash into a car, right? or even worse, right? Something happens and then the cost is infinite, right? I'm just making a worst case scenario here. But if always just take your time as an opportunity cost, I think that's a very good average estimate to calculate what is the cost and what is the cost with Smile. The individual marginal extra cost to generate this in our day and age is zero, right? Now, we have fixed cost. We have talents. We have very smart people in our team that are working really hard, and they also need to basically be paid. So this is the fixed cost that Smile has to maintain this infrastructure that can be offered to the ecosystem. Now, this is a wonderful news because when we have increment costs for an individual to be paid, and this is shouldered by Smile that has a fixed cost, that means that the cost for society is essentially going down with more users that Smile has. Right? So this is the equation. And what that basically means is the bigger that the network goes, the more value we can provide for everyone.
All right, thank you for that. We're taking this question from Liera Malyari of Manila Standard. For Jerome, again, what are the milestones and successes that you've had in other countries, and how do you replicate those here in the Philippines? What are the other countries you're present in currently, Jerome?
I think there's a misunderstanding. We are a company that's based in the Philippines. We operate in the Philippines solely. So this is, but I can talk a little bit about. Yes.
Go ahead.
No, I'd love to talk about the milestones that we have taken in the Philippines so far.
Go ahead.
So when we started, really, late last year when we went live, our coverage wasn't really where it is today. So we were starting essentially in the gig economy space, and to make access in the gig economy space, there are roughly 2 million workers in the gig economy in the Philippines. And this number during the pandemic was really skyrocketing. So we were really happy that we were able to cover roughly 90% of the gig economy at that time, and to help gig economy workers to get access in this very difficult time to financial services. So we had a lot of our customers at that time were issuing credit to gig workers that are working from home, that previously have probably been in big offices, working for BPOs, and were had to let go because essentially during the quarantine and the quarantine requirements, it wasn't possible to work in these big offices anymore. So when you sit at home, you probably don't have the infrastructure to be a gig worker. So what does it mean for being a gig worker? Can be a virtual assistant, be a translator, be a teacher, be a host. A lot of things can be done from home, but you need a computer, you need the infrastructure, you probably need a cell phone, you need a camera and a headset. And so Smile is happy that we can actually report that a lot of these gig workers at that time were able through Smile to get access to credit to buy this equipment and to be able to maintain their livelihoods during that time. So that was one milestone. A challenge that we were tackling at that time when we were engaging with customers, they said, hey, this is wonderful. We love the data that we can get, and we're really comfortable issuing loans now to these workers that are working from home. But how about the rest of the population? Again, Philippines is a big country. There are a lot of people that are not gig workers as well. So this is the next big milestone, essentially, in the coverage that we have provided. Now, I think the next one is probably the depth of the data that Jean and his team has been working on extensively. So we're covering from ratings over assets, income, individual data that is used for KYC purposes. And far beyond that, we're also enabling a lot of features right now for our customers to use Smile, even if they don't have developer resources. So what we found out is a lot of our customers are startups just like ourselves. So they don't have the development resources to implement with Smile, because again, the bridge that needs to be built, we built that bridge. That's, don't want to throw around too many technical terms. So to build that bridge, you also need to have some resources to integrate with us. what we have done as again, Jean and his team has built basically a piece of software that enables our customers to use Smile with minimum or even no coding requirements. So you can use Smile essentially as a SaaS software as well. And yeah, this is also a major milestone that helps us to really adapt and help our customers quite quickly. After they have used this in such a way, they're also able to see, hey, we want to get the Smile data even faster, and then the integration can happen. So yeah, a lot of milestones. Probably also the fundraising that we announced today. Very happy again. Unfortunately, Anna Mitra can be with us today from A4 Capital, but really also congratulations to their big fund that they have raised. $300 million really is an amazing amount of money to be made available for such a good cause, as well as their target to really invest globally. And yeah, so the fundraising and all of the support from the team and the ecosystem are major milestones that we're very happy and also very thankful to have. And last but not least, for Sir Ramon, I really appreciate the work with your organization. One more thing that I wanted to say about what John mentioned about Taranan Walana Hapdanan is that we really see the interface between you guys, because you do work. Everything about Smile evolves about employment and work, and this is why we chose your organization to be very suitable for us and for you as an interface. We see a lot of value in that cooperation, and obviously we believe that everybody who participates in a survey and is willing to give to your organization is probably going to be very helpful feedback from our side, or to receive that feedback from our side, as compared to if we just go ahead and pay people to make surveys. I just think there has to be a good intention with everything, and we're trying to really, when we come to an ecosystem, we're trying to really be part of it. But we also acknowledge that there is no fruit without work, and this is why we just really like to define this this environment. If you work really hard for yourself, you can smile and you can make others smile. So again, thank you very much for that partnership.
All right, let's now go to your partners who are clearly smiling because of this API. I want to start with Ashley and Anna. Aside from the obvious, besides the obvious that Smile API helps you with evaluating applications, for example, are there other new products that you can think of that you can build because you're empowered by this API by Smile? Earlier, Anna, of course, at Tarana PH, you're a logistics provider. But with Smile, do you imagine you eventually able to expand to even offer your drivers perhaps loans, which Smile API can also help you with? Or are there things like that that you're already thinking about?
Yeah, well, earlier I've discussed we have 3 platforms. No? We have the logistic, the facility, the sorting facility, and our e-commerce. So we are looking forward in working also with Smile in onboarding our merchants, our partners in that aspect. So we were just waiting for the success of this integration with our logistic platform, and soon we'll be integrating also the Smile API to our Bayani PH e-commerce platform also, as well.
All right. How about you, Ashley? Are there new products you can think of that you can build around this empowering tool that is Smile API?
Yeah, thanks, Amy. That's an interesting question. There's something that we haven't launched yet, and it's something that we are still honestly experimenting on. So essentially, it's employee benefits programs. So, like, let's say we partner with a merchant and they have a fleet of people, whether it's a logistics company or whether it's, say, a restaurant. And say, because we are partnered with the main company, then we're able to extend further benefits to the employees. So it's something that we are not yet kind of rolling out publicly because we're still seeing if it actually works. But to answer your question, that would be one avenue that I think a verification platform service provider like Smile would really come into play.
All right, more work for you guys, Jerome and Jan from Smile API. Ramon, for Tahanang Walang Hagdanan, aside, on top of the donation, yes, we're very happy about the donation. Is there any other thing that you think an API like Smile can do for persons with disabilities to help persons with disabilities with your day-to-day activities, your needs?
Well, that's a very good question, Mimi. So aside from the donation of the 50 pesos completed survey, there are a lot of things to be done in the organization. And a while ago, I have mentioned the scholarship programs and then the mobility aid program, wherein we give out mobility aids, not only wheelchair, but even crutches. So with Smile API, there are opportunities to help. For example, Smile API can either donate in the form of in kind. So here in the organization, we employ different kinds of persons with disabilities. However, we mostly focus on persons with disabilities who are using wheelchairs, and donations can come up with computers, because we also have offices and we need computers in order for us to make business. And I remember a while ago, Jerome mentioned, if there's no work, there's no food. So mainly right now, it's we mainly use the internet to do business. And when the pandemic came in, the business was down. It was really down, and we were just very thankful to our partners when we wrote them to help us out. We were so blessed that they really went on to come here or deliver those goods in order to help us out. So with Smile API, I know this partnership will not just start from here, like just completing the survey and then donate 50 pesos. It's more than that. Although 50 pesos will go a long way with thousands of survey completed, but it doesn't stop there. There are a lot of areas to do.
And I can imagine, Ramon, I can imagine how persons with disabilities can also have an easier time, accessing their own data. When someone with a disability tries to get a loan or tries to get employed by other companies. All right, thank you for that, Ramon. Here's another question. This time, this question is actually from, let's see, this is still from Riera Malyari of Manila Standard. What are the challenges in introducing API and its features and functionalities to the Philippine market? Are we there yet? Does the Philippine market actually understand what API is? I think API stands for Application Programming Interface. Are we there yet? Jerome, Jan?
Jan, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. It's a journey, Mimi, to be honest, but we're very optimistic. So there's a lot, there were a lot of bad things that happened during the pandemic, but one of the good things was to really accelerate digital transformation and digital adoption. So actually, many people might not know this, but they're actually probably using already an API. So when they're using their mobile e-wallet, when they're accessing their bank, when they're ordering food to go, those are actually enabled by APIs. But there's still a lot of things that, there's still a lot of work to do, especially in the financial services space, in the financial services industry. The good thing is we're very optimistic. So the regulators have been very supportive of startups in this space. So they've actually recently come up with, and this is something we're watching very closely, something called the Open Finance Framework, which is the BSP is championing, and we're very optimistic about that, which is basically aligned to what we are doing, enabling or empowering people to use their data to get more access, to get more opportunities. And so it's a journey, but we're very optimistic. I think we'll get there.
And Jan, the Smile API currently have the ability to bridge data from government agencies like Social Security System, GSIS, the BIR. I imagine the amount of powerful data you can get if you have access to those. Are you connected?
Absolutely.
Are you bridged?
Absolutely. So we are. So we there are ways that we implemented to get this data. We are very open though to have a more robust connection to these agencies. But we also realize the fact that these agencies also have to adopt more digital enabling technologies to do that. And so we're really if there's anyone from government, we're very open to working with them to kind of help digitally enable their services. So it's more than just providing a website. It's actually opening up that data via APIs, and we're really here advocating to get that data out and enable easy access to it via APIs.
Mm-hmm. And just to clarify, Jan, while you have access to data from government agencies, you will still need the approval of the actual individual. This is all approved by the owner of the data. That's
correct, and that's a key foundation of this concept of open finance. That everything has to happen with the consent of the data owner, and so that's basically underpins our business model. That's very reassuring, Jerome. How secure is the system? How do you ensure compliance with existing data privacy laws?
So we are guided by the data privacy laws. The data privacy laws basically enable our business model. If they were not there, we could not operate this model. So the Data Privacy Commission is also very clear about this. And I think in my presentation also made it very clear that who owns your data? And the answer to that is you, right? So if you are owning your data, you can do with your data, where is the data, right? So how can you make it accessible? And this is what Smile provides. Again, this is the picture of the bridge. Now it's important, how safe is this bridge, right? So every data that flies or that goes through the infrastructure of Smile is fully encrypted. So it is on the way, right, over the bridge when you can basically see this data if it is not encrypted. But our data is encrypted, and therefore there's the security that is given. On the other side, one thing that makes Smile so incredibly safe is we are not a traditional database. So what do traditional databases do? They have like a whole registry and millions of data points from individuals that are saved in this database. So it's not walking, it's basically sitting there. And that's an invitation for hackers to get access to this data. But it also has, so Smile does not have a database. So this is also very important for us. So there is nothing to get from our side. The importance that I would like to state also for the customers, not only in terms of security, is also that when you have data sitting in a database, it can be from yesterday, it can be from last month or last year. The question is really, how fresh is that data? Now, Smile data is generated in the moment when it is called by our end user, and then it's directly transferred over the bridge to the application that the user chooses to empower with that data. Right. So I hope that makes it clear. I stay a lot in metaphors today, but I hope that this makes it very clear. We're not a database. We're an infrastructure, and we build basically the pipeline to provide to have data run from one place to another. That's what Smile does.
Very clear. But Jerome, to build the infrastructure, to maintain and update the infrastructure will take money. It's going to cost. It costs Smile API, of course. What's the business model? How do you make money? How do you make your shareholders smile as well? Do you charge your partners on a subscription basis? Is it a charge for every successful access of data? How is it done? Just very quickly.
So If you drive on a highway, right, or if you drive over a bridge, sometimes there are these little booths that are standing on the side that say toll collect or electronic toll collect. Smile operates in a very similar way. So if you would like to transfer data from your customer to your site, you have to pay for that for your customer, and this is how we maintain it. So we don't necessarily, so we pay by every car that is driving over the bridge or by every person who would like to walk over the bridge, but we are not selling the car or even the person, right? So to stay in that analogy, we are just charging for basically the traffic to finance and to make the business model viable and to finance that infrastructure, yes.
All right, thank you. That's a great comparison for everyone to understand the business model. Here's another question from the media. What are your plans in terms of regional expansion in the coming years? So you did clarify you launched in the Philippines in 2021. You're currently just in the Philippines. Are you setting your sights to another country soon? How soon and where?
Well, I think it's very important that wherever you go, you have to be, you have to make sure that you serve your customers accurately, right? So, do we think about international expansion or further in Southeast Asia? The answer to that is a clear yes. Obviously, this is there's a huge opportunity. We have started in the Philippines with a very specific mission and also with a lot of conviction to the Philippines. First of all, we love the Philippines in a regulatory way. It's very stable when it comes to, you know, the big things, when it comes to financial regulation. The change that we can observe from the financial regulation, although gradual in its nature, is going in a very, you know, solid and a good direction that is characterized by common sense. This is not the case for all countries. So this is one point where we really have to give the Philippines a lot of props. The other reason, obviously, as you can probably tell that my accent is German, you guys obviously all speak fantastic English, and this is just a really great infrastructure there. And what we also saw that there was a huge demand in the Philippines. So when it comes to the data situation, there's obviously a huge problem that needs to be solved. We love big problems and we love to, you know, put our teeth in these problems and really help to solve them. And so these factors, when they come together, the Philippines really was a decision to start with. Yes, there are other countries in Southeast Asia that we're eyeballing, that we're looking at. But again, to serve your customer, you need to build that infrastructure. And I think really, not to just quote Warren Buffett or Bill Gates or any of these guys, but the most important thing in business is really focus. Focus and serve your customer, make them smile, make them happy. If you don't, there is no opportunity. And I think the business case that you show to an investor, to a sophisticated investor, is also characterized by this. Yes, you have to expand over time, but you really have to make sure that you go in the speed that your customers want to have, that want to see, and that's I think, yeah, a solid plan for the next few years to come. Certainly going to cover more countries in Southeast Asia, yes. But for now, we really focus on the Philippines.
All right. But if you do expand outside of the Philippines, which country would you say would be your top of mind destination?
Top of mind destination. I love Bali. So,
okay. All right, we can start there. Okay.
We can start there. There are other places, you know, apart from Indonesia. Vietnam is an interesting big market, is also hugely underserved. But we can also, you know, we get requests from all over Southeast Asia and beyond. It's very interesting that this kind of infrastructure is really something that is not just a problem in the Philippines, and that's quite obvious. But it needs to be built, and that also takes time. Yes.
All right. I think we're ready to wrap up this webinar. So I'm going to throw in the final question for all of our speakers, and I'm going to start with the partners. This is for Ramon, for Anna, for Ashley. In one word, how would you describe your Smile API experience? How would you encapsulate this partnership and its impact on your top or your bottom line? So let's start with Ashley. We go to Anna and then Ramon. Ashley, one word.
Collaborative, I guess, would be the word. Collaborative. As Jerome said, yeah, we almost talk every other day. So I'm really happy to have that type of relationship with the Smile team. Yeah.
All right, collaborative. Anna?
Yeah, upscale. So really,
Upscale.
yes, we really did a very upscale in doing our operations and our business right now with
All right.
Smile.
All right. And Ramon?
I'm actually thinking, but I think liberating is the word for this one because financially here in Tahanan Walang Hagdanan, it can be a liberating experience for everyone once the data is already there, and it would be easier for us to, for example, get a loan.
All right. Collaborative, upscale, and liberating. And now from the end of Smile API, let's go to Jan first. What do you think is the next step now? You're the products, you're into developing new products. Are there new products your partners and the Filipino people can expect in the coming months or years from Smile API?
That's a great question, Mimi. So you know, we're you know, to use Jerome's analogy, like we're right now we're building bridges, but soon we're gonna add you know, some of the things we're thinking about is how do we make that, you know, going through that bridge much faster and much smoother. So I can't share yet, you know, details, but there's a lot of exciting things we're thinking about already to make that process maybe not just go through a bridge, but launch you on a rocket ship. So to use an analogy, but that's something for the future.
All right, Jerome, what about you? What's the next update? What's the next iteration, the next upgrade that your partners can expect from Smile API?
Yeah, so I believe I will stick with Jean. The news that we have shared today to have that huge jump in coverage that we already cover 90% of the population in the Philippines, I think is the huge milestone that we were sharing today, to have no code, to have low code implementation, high speed, basically everything that has to do with acceleration to serve our customers better, faster, and in a more sophisticated and deeper way when it comes to availability of data takeaways for today that we've been working on in the past 3-4 months. And for everything that comes in the future, I'm sure we'll have another launch event like this one. And we're looking forward to host us, to have you host us again, Mimi. And we are going to share the news, and we're looking forward, and we're incredibly thankful for all our customers, for the participants, for every organization that works with us, and also from basically I have to really give it also to the press. The last event that that we have been hosting together with you, Mimi, the press feedback was really just amazing. And that has been very integral for us to voice the message of Smile API, to give more access and to provide more connections between us and our customers is also one of the reasons why we do this. So thanks a lot to you guys from the press. We hope we can provide more information very soon. We are launching these, we do these press events on a 3 to 6 month scale. So now we're going back to work for our customers, to work on our product, and we hope to see you again in 3 to 6 months to have hopefully another event like this where we can provide you with fancy new products that even give more access and to make our digital age more enjoyable. When there's sometimes so much trouble and things that we have to worry about in our life, at least we can try to make everything a little bit smoother, to take to take all of these obstacles in our digital life away. Hopefully Smile can do a little contribution to that, and yeah, looking forward to all of this.
You know, Jerome, in 3 to 6 months time, a lot would have changed already. I'm sure there's more updates from your company, and the Philippines will have a new president then. A new sitting president. I'm very curious, and maybe this is sort of a teaser to what we can expect more from Smile API. Is there a government use case that you can see for Smile API? Is there a whole of society project that you think you can help with you can help it.
You know, Mimi, I think this is an amazing idea, and I was just really blown away by some of the proposals that were brought to us by any sector. Mostly they come right now from the private sector, but as Jean already said, we extend our handshake to everyone, especially the government. This would be highly interesting for us. But really, what is blowing my mind is that they come up with the use cases. We build the infrastructure, but the ideas don't come from us. They come from our customers. So basically what Ashley just hinted was, for instance, they're building a new product based on the infrastructure from Smile. And yeah, when we started to build Smile, we haven't really thought about all the use cases, right? We were thinking about, hey, this data might just be very useful, but when people start to build something on our infrastructure, that's what really gets me excited, and that's what really keeps the team going. And if this someone is the government, then we would be even more excited. This would truly be, you know, a game changer for us.
All right, game changing, not just for Smile API, but for the Filipino people. Jerome, thank you very much. Jan, thank you very much. Ashley, Anna, Ramon, thank you for joining us. But before we let you go, that would be all the questions from the media. I'd like to ask all of our speakers to stay on the screens. Keep your cameras turned on. We're going to do a quick photo opportunity. Let me do the counting. On the count of 3, please say smile and actually smile. Okay, let's do that. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, one more time. Let's give the organizing team one more chance to capture our beautiful smiles this morning. 1, 2, 3, smile. All right, I think that's it. Thank you very much again, Jerome, Jan, Anna, Ashley, Ramon. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to all of you who took their time to be with us today. Thank you also to our friends in the media. We hope you had a great time, and we hope you enjoy your lunch, and we hope you get to use your data for your own good very soon. Once again, I'm Mimi Young. It was a pleasure being your host this morning. Have a great day, everybody. See you soon.
Thank you, Mimi. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.